How you doing? I'm Ed JRJR from The Geek. I'm participating in the 100 Play Challenge thread, and one of the games I'm doing is Race for the Galaxy, the solo game that uses the first expansion. So I thought it'd be fun to do a video, and for people who don't know how to play, I figured I'd just go over the basics of it really quick. For people who do know how to play, you probably don't want to watch because I'm not very good at this game. So the first thing is, it's a card game, as I'm sure just about everybody knows, at least a little bit about it. That's the base game with the first expansion. Between those, you have 9 starting worlds. And what you would do is select 2 of them, one for you and one for the robot. I like to do it randomly. I kind of shuffle them up and just pick 2. I pick one for me and then pick one for the robot. And so far it's been pretty decent. It's spread out pretty well. But the robot is played differently depending on the world. So what happens is, for example, let's take, I don't know, Earth's Lost Colony here. So if we're going to play with Earth's Lost Colony as the robot, it has a 4 on it. So you go to this chart on the back of the robot card and it tells you which chits you need to set up the robot. So each planet has different chits, which makes the AI do different things on certain dice rolls. So 4 is kind of a boring one. There's just one little one. Actually, let me pick a different one here. Let's try, let's see here. I guess it really doesn't matter. What's 3? New Sparta. Okay, so New Sparta, Planet 3, uses those 2 chits. I don't know if you can see it. I'm recording this with an iPhone, so it's probably not that great. But each of these cards here have numbers on them that tell you which planet they're used for. And this kind of just shows you which ones you're looking for up here. So one of these small ones has a 3 on it, right here. So I'll be using that one. And then I need one of these. And that has a 3, so I'll be using that. So you flip this over, and there's your robot AI right there. So those cards you do change. So when I roll the robot symbol, he's going to do settle as his action for that turn. And instead of the standard actions for the other worlds, he has his own actions that he does. So every time the robot on the die, if it's a robot, or if it's a settle icon, which is a circle, it's going to do these items here, right? So he would draw 5 cards, and he would turn over his hand until he has a military world, which is denoted by the red outline. There's different types of worlds. There's military, which New Sparta is a military world with the red. And then there's the black ones are just normal, like basic economy worlds, I guess you could call them. So New Sparta would be a military world. And that's how that works. And that's how you set up the robot. Now, on a turn, if you're not familiar with the game, when you play against a robot, you use the 2-player advance rules, which means you would pick 2 of the the phases. Now, there's 5 phases, and if you look, there's 9 cards. Some of these are duplicates. So there's 2 phase 1 cards. There's draw an extra card, keep an extra card. Or there's draw 5 extra cards, but don't keep an extra card. There's the develop phase. They're identical. They both grant you -1 on a development card. Cost. And then phase 3 is settle. They're also identical. And the benefit with those are after you settle a planet, you can draw a card. Then there's consume. There's consume trade, and there's consume double experience points, or victory points, whatever you, sorry. Double victory points. So if you pick consume trade, you would be able to sell 1 item for the number of cards depicted here. Try to focus in a little bit. It's probably better to do it on this card. But each color of item, or items that you could produce, are worth different amount of cards. So blue ones are novelty, they're worth 2. Brown are rare elements, they're worth 3 cards. Green are genes, they're worth 4 cards. And yellow is alien artifacts, worth 5 cards. So if you selected consume trade before you did the rest of your consume powers, which are 4 on your other cards, like for example on this one, you would trade a good for a victory point and a card. But before you did those consume things on each of your cards in your tableau, you would be able to sell 1 card for, or 1 good, I'm sorry, for so many cards depending on the kind of good you sold. So that's what that does. And then the double victory points is when you do trade the goods for the different victory points or cards listed in the cards you have played out, the victory points are worth double. So this card again, so there you go. So instead of it being 1 victory point, 1 card, it would be 2 victory points, 1 card, for example. So those are the consume phase cards, and then there's only 1 produce card. And when you produce, all your production worlds, which are the solid ones, like this yellow alien artifact world is a solid one. This one, though, you have to actually discard a card to be able to produce there, but the other ones, Earth's Lost Colony is another one that would do a novelty good. So when you produce, all your worlds that you have out in your play area that are solid filled like that by a color would receive a good. Your windfall worlds, when you play the world itself, would get that. And then once you spend it, it wouldn't regenerate unless you had some type of text on one of the cards that says that you can during the produce phase, or if you select produce as one of your phases, the benefit of that is you can generate 1 good on 1 windfall world. So that's how those cards work. And of course, all these cards are different, and they interact in really interesting ways. Like I said, I'm new to the game, so I really don't even understand all the different ways that they can interact. But you set up as a 2-player game. There's 24 victory points. You have these 6-point tokens, which count as a card on the tableau when you go to decide when the end game is. The end game results when you're either out of victory point tokens, or there's 12 cards in either your tableau or the robots. So once one of those happens, you finish the current turn, and then you add up the scores. And that's how that's played. So I'll get into how you roll the dice, and these markers are for selecting what you're going to do. These track the economy of the robot's world. This is the economy marker, I guess you could call it, and then this is the resource marker, how many goods they're producing or whatever. I find that certain worlds that the robot plays, they generate really fast, and they score a lot of victory points using that. And when I go to actually play a game and record it, you'll probably see that, because it happens quite a bit. So anyway, that squealing in the background's my son, so I better go check on him. He must be finished with his bottle. So I will post this, and then I'll probably start a game here at some point and start recording turn by turn. So God bless, and hope you enjoy the videos.